Hi, my name is Neil, and one of the canoe trips that I was on this summer was on the historic Albany River, and we joined the Albany through the Misehkow River, which is kind of a lost canoe route in northwestern Ontario. So in this video, I'm just going to explain to you all of the planning information that we used. So if you want to consider a trip in that part of Ontario, you'll have everything you need. So let me start by saying that the Misehkow River is a very intimate river, but sufficient in volume and very navigable. It's not an overly whitewater river. There are some class 1 and 2 rapids, and there are a few falls that need to be portaged around, but it's actually very open river. I think a beginner whitewater skills is all that you would need on a trip like that. The Misehkow River runs about 4 or 5 days of paddling, and then it joins the Albany River, otherwise known as the Saskatchewan-Sippy River. And the Albany River is a big river, wide, much more volume. There are some class 1, 2 rapids in it, but for the most part, it's big, it's lakey and large rivers, and there are a few falls that you can portage around, but it's a much different river than the Misehkow. So a great canoe trip. It was about 13 days in total that we spent. We took our time, could have done it easily in 11 or 12. We took out at Miminiska Lake. Looking on a map here, this is northwestern Ontario. Wabakimi Park is north and west of Lake Nipigon. And if we zoom in here to the top of Wabakimi Park, you can see Albany River Provincial Park just above it. And in between, you have this crown land. That's where the Misehkow River is. So it starts at Rockcliffe Lake. That's this little bit of Wabakimi Park that stretches up. And then the Misehkow River flows basically parallel to the Albany, but, in crown land. And, so the campsites there are well indicated on the maps that I'll show you, but it's not actually in the provincial park. You don't have to reserve campsites, but it means that things aren't quite as well maintained as in the park. And then you enter Albany River Provincial Park here. And, as I say, the Albany River is a big river, and we took it all the way around to, Lake Miminiska, right up here, where we took a float plane out from the Miminiska Lodge that's there. How did we hear about this route? Well, that's a good question. The classic Reed and Grant book on canoeing Ontario's rivers is from the 1980s. It's available in full text on the internet, and it basically describes the Misehkow River. The byline here is half the fun is getting there. They didn't take a float plane. They did it the hard way. So you can do that too. I think it was 5 days for them of going through Wabakimi Provincial Park in order to get to the headwaters of the Misehkow River. And then once they did, then like us here at Rockcliffe Lake, you could finish the trip there on the Misehkow in about 5 days, and then about another 5 or 6 days to Lake Miminiska. So I gotta say, the fishing was spectacular. So for speckled trout and walleye, we were catching as many fish as we could eat. We were getting to our limit. I think on 9 days, we had fish for either lunch or supper. So absolutely spectacular fishing conditions. Of course, you'll want to get a license on the Ontario site. I'll put the link in the description for you. But just to say that if you've got fishers with you, you probably can cut back on the food. Certainly, you can bank on a few meals of fish when you're doing your packing. There's also a great resource online. I don't know who Rambling Boy is, but man, he gets around. He has traveled. There's a lot of, on his website, a lot of routes, but here he sort of details the Misehkow River, which is fantastic. And so he's got good prose in terms of a trip report, but also maps that you can download onto your devices and suggested campsites. And actually, for the Misehkow, we used the campsites basically that Rambling Boy had had suggested at Iron Lake, at Moose View, and then down from the rapids. So those are great sites that he recommends. And then he goes on his website to describe the Albany River, and so it sort of picks up from a different trip the Albany River route, and sort of again has the maps and the prose that goes along with it. Just an excellent resource all around. Here he's got the topo map links and everything like that. So a really great link for the Misehkow and Albany rivers. Here's an example of one of the maps that he's got. So there's the Misehkow right here. And then Bird's View Camp is on the Albany River. Snake Falls is awesome. We took a little detour to a little lake down here, which was beautiful, Wind Lake. And then we took out up here where he went on to Petawanga. The wildlife sighting was great. Plenty of moose and beavers and muskrat. We also saw a timber wolf, which was pretty cool, and a really beautiful northern forest, including a real treat. We saw an island with a stand of elm trees that had never been touched by Dutch elm disease. That was on the Albany River itself. But yeah, beautiful trip all around. Also, if you want to, as Ken Kokanee has an Albany River Provincial Park map, very detailed, beautiful map, different entry points. So this is the Savant River route to get into the Albany, and so you would get into the Albany above where the Misehkow comes in, and then continue down to Lake Miminiska or wherever you want. But this is an excellent resource as well. So I include the link for that. In terms of getting up there, so we took the train from Sudbury Junction to get to Armstrong, Ontario. So if you're going to Armstrong from Sudbury, you got to make sure that you actually select Sudbury Junction and not Sudbury. The train doesn't go from Sudbury proper. It goes from Sudbury Junction to Armstrong. It goes only twice a week, so you have to time your trip around the train. And it's a 17-hour train ride to Armstrong, Ontario. So that's an overnight train. So, if you're ready to invest in a sleeper car or berth, that's well worth it, especially before a long canoe trip, and maybe even after a long canoe trip. But otherwise, you'll be sitting in a chair for 17 hours. But that's one way to go. Very romantic to go on the train, and you simply, you book your tickets as normal, but you also need to book your canoes, and it's about $100 per canoe per trip to go on that. You load it up in the cargo car, so you just arrive a little bit early and have your canoe and gear ready by the train station at Sudbury Junction, and that tends to work out pretty well. In terms of outfitters, we used Wabakimi outfitters, so Bruce Heyer and his family and friends that run that, has been doing that forever. He's got amazing maps that he'll sell to you if you want some maps with fishing holes, and also just indications around campsites and so forth. So that's a great resource, and they will organize the trip for you and provide you any rentals if you need it. There's also Matisse Lake or Matisse Lake outfitters that will also outfit you. They're a fishing setup, but they'll do that for canoers as well. And then, of course, you want the water levels before you go. When we went this summer, it was pretty low, which meant that we bottomed out a few times, so that that was a concern certain places. So that's the trip in a nutshell, and I've put the links in the description. But basically, it's the Misehkow and Albany Rivers, and it is a beautiful canoe trip, kind of a lost route in a way, but it takes you to the historic Albany River. In 13 days of paddling, we didn't see a single soul. We didn't have to worry about any of the campsites with people being there or anything. This is as remote a trip as you're going to get south of 60. So I hope this is useful to you, and maybe we'll see you out there.